Whether we're exploring the latest in trucking technology, talking about the trends that propel the industry forward, or uncovering stories about the dedicated individuals who keep the wheels of America turning, this is where the roar of the engines and pulse of progress come together. It's sublime, it's surreal, it's the Heavy Equipment Podcast with Mike and Joe.
There is no intro. We just go right into it. No intro. Go. Episode 2.
This is awesome.
Welcome to the show, Michael. How you doing today, man?
Oh, we're doing good. Doing real good.
You know, we were just talking here before coming online. In our last show, our first show, which was also our last show, we talked about the need for something in between the diesel big rig semis and the full electric. And we talked a little bit about Hyliion, which was a company that's working with Peterbilt. They're making a hybrid system where it uses a 200 kilowatt motor to power the generator that basically feeds these electric motors, electric batteries. It basically turns the truck into a big Prius. And, apparently word gets around. You got a quality program, the likes of this. And we're going to try to get the CEO, Tom Healy, on here in a couple of weeks. And that's going to be really exciting because I think he can speak to that sort of intermediate challenge, right? Everybody wants to be the next unicorn. Everyone wants to be the next Tesla with the $1 trillion valuation on the stock market. But at the end of the day, we got to keep stuff moving, and it's got to move today. We can't wait for the electric infrastructure to be built out over the next 5 or 10 years. You know, I ordered that stuff on Amazon. If it's not here in 48 hours, I'm going to kill myself.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's where we're at today, right? So everybody needs everything right away. I mean, we can't get the infrastructure figured out. What's going to happen? We're going to have catenary lines like back in the 30s running down the highways.
That's right.
I mean,
that's exactly right.
That's what's going to happen.
That'll come on later. And right now, we'll talk about the latest news topic today. You know, we talk about this a lot. It's not just commercial fleets. It's not just over-the-road semis. It's anybody that drives for work, whether you are a home health care provider, you're driving back and forth, you got a company car, you're working for LabCorp, you've got a sales job. You're always stopping to get fuel at these convenience stores. And Dover Fueling Solutions, they have a gas pump that as you're paying right there from the pump, you can order drinks and snacks and have them brought out to the vehicle right there in one stop, use the same company card and knock it all out. And I'm torn on this, man. I think this is really cool. I love the idea of simplifying it, making it easier for the driver to just order something on the go and make sure they have some food in them. But at the same time, it's more of what we were talking about last week. It's more salty snacks. It's more sugary drinks. It's stuff that's just not good for you.
No, that's the first thing I was thinking of when we were going over that and we're looking at this stuff. The idea is great and the opportunity is right there. But what's behind it? What are you ordering? Are you just going to order a bunch of junk and soft serve and, go in there to a melted cone next to the register? Or are you going to get something, that's fruit or something healthy or something that's going to sustain you throughout the day? Because you're right. You don't have to be an over-the-road semi-driver. You're not driving a semi-truck. Anybody that's on the road that runs into any gas station grabs something.
Yes.
Right. That's one of their biggest things, right? That's why they all have stores. This is awesome. But it goes back to what, we have to be able to figure out sustainable, healthy solutions. And there are tons of people out there that are working on prepackaged, good, organic food.
Yeah. Well, and the convenience stores, we touched on this last time too. There's a real issue here with this organic farming and some of the ways that we're talking about regenerative farming and the ways that we can get more healthy food to these locations and to these drivers in a sustainable, cost-effective way. But I mean, there's real health problems that come from this just eating and living off of road food, right? Like, we were talking about some statistics and I looked some up for the show, and specifically that in the US, the cost of chronic conditions related to obesity is more than $4 trillion a year. When it comes to truck drivers, directly related to obesity, health problems are causing between $383 and $591 million. And I mean, that is just absolutely mind-boggling. And these are numbers that come from the Union of Concerned Scientists. This is a blog post. It's actually dated from 2015. The numbers are worse now. And it's called The Equation. And it says in addition to the health factors, obese truckers are more likely to have accidents and therefore injure other motorists. Among new recruits, severe obese drivers were between 43 to 55% more likely to crash than drivers with a normal BMI. And, could be due to limited agility, sleep apnea, or other fatigue associated with obesity. And you hear numbers like that and you think there's already a driver shortage. There's already so much inefficiency in the system, and it's so hard to find good people to come work for you. And, when the only thing that you feed them is, not to pick on one restaurant or another, but when the only thing you're feeding them is Egg McMuffins, M&Ms, and Diet Coke, they're not going to be a healthy workforce.
Yes, that's true. And I mean, people are always talking about higher costs and higher costs with trucking and all that. Well, look at that cost. Your healthcare cost is going through the roof, and you have all these employees. Many companies are trying to figure out health programs and figure out healthy ways to get their workforce healthier to cut down on medical insurance costs. Right here is an answer. Get them to eat healthier.
Get them to eat healthier.
Go back to the basics.
Yeah, this is Lurleen sitting behind the counter, pouring coffee and giving you healthy food at a diner. Maybe it was a tuna melt, tuna sandwich, whatever, but it was fresh, healthy food. And you're living on the road like that. It's tough, man. It's tough to be able to live and do this. I was talking to this guy, Andrew. He's actually a really interesting guy. He's at a company called Salad Power. Because I actually did prep work for this, man. This is like a serious thing now that I'm
sweet,
investing time into. And he's got these organic, they don't need to be refrigerated. They're like little pouches, like these little, the kids have the applesauce pouches.
Right.
And it's full organic. It's got apples, it's got kale, it's got spinach, it's got everything you need. Don't need to be refrigerated. You can keep 4 or 5 of these in the truck and just have the guy eat one for breakfast or have him drink it with his coffee. It's just like apple juice. That alone, I think, is going to help a lot of people just get vitamins and get healthier. And, not to plug Salad Power, but I don't know, maybe we'll get a sponsorship deal out of it. We'll plug them. Who cares?
Yeah, well, what the hell? I mean, no, seriously. I mean, that's a phenomenal option because, I know our drivers and other companies' drivers I talk to, they pack their own lunches. They're at home.
That's right. You were telling me about that.
Week because they're in there. They're like, well, not only do I need to cook for home,
right?
You know what? While you're making something, let's make something extra. So I got lunch for a couple of days.
It's so expensive now, too. You go to McDonald's now, and it ain't like you go in and out of there for $5 and you've got lunch. No. I mean, it used to be a cheap, inexpensive option. Now you're spending just as much going in anywhere and sitting down. You're spending $30 to get in and out of there for 2 people.
And whether, even if you're not on the road all day, but like heavy equipment operators suffer from this too.
Right. Because they can't just leave the wheel loader in the back of the truck. Right. They can't go through the drive-through in that thing.
Well, so it's funny you say that because there was a company in the city that years ago had a loader operator, and he would have the truck drivers call down to the street to the pizza place. He'd order a medium pizza, uncut. Well, and then they would bring it to him. He would load their truck. They'd throw it up in the cab. He would fold that like a calzone and eat it all day. Honestly, and they
are you outing me on the stage here on camera?
Yeah. Sorry, Joe. We'll just say it. It was Joe, and Joe worked for.
I prefer to think of it as a burrito.
Just roll the crust. Just make sure it's extra.
It was
crust.
Fine. It was. Look, I got a lot of looks from that, but it was fine.
Why is your burrito 24 inches long? Hey, get away.
That's what she said. And we've been flagged. No more monetization of the podcast. That's okay. That's not the kind of podcast this is.
We're not getting into that right now. Tune in at 9:30. We'll be back.
We'll be back for HEP After Dark.
Oh, God.
The Heavy Equipment Podcast. Is that a wheel loader in your pants, or are you just happy to see me?
Darling, this is a long read.
Neil comes in. I brought the wrecking balls.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Holy shit. Too grapefruit. He's trying to figure out how to stuff them into his fucking wrestling onesie. Imagine that. Jesus.
I was thinking about
I thought he was a basketball practice when he backed up on him.
So listen to this. This is a business idea. I've shared this with you before back in 2009, and you denied me. You said that was stupid.
Denied. Yes.
Denied. This is real talk though. Now that it's back and Robot Wars is like a popular show again, I think that we should have different heavy equipment pieces. You have a wheel loader, one guy, another guy's got a track hoe, another guy's got a wrecking ball, another guy's got a crane, and we do full scale Robot Wars. One guy's got a killdozer, and we just like go nuts. And in the middle is one dude with a wrecking ball just spinning that thing around. 9 times out of 10, he don't hit nobody, but every once in a while,
somebody gets a little loose.
Yeah, he sends a bobcat screaming into the stands.
So
arms, flames.
We call it equipment gladiators. It'd be like American Gladiators. Remember that show?
Right, but it'd be equipment gladiators. It'd be, dude, that would be the number one show on TV for the 45 seconds until everyone died.
I know. And from the South Corner, it's Komatsu Trojan coming in.
Oh yeah. So anyway, Neil would be in one of those in full head to toe wrestling onelet with like sequins and everything. I think that'd be fantastic.
You look like Ric Flair met Hulk Hogan.
I would. Yeah, I would. And he'd be and he'd be riding that thing out in some kind of hydraulic excavator. Just
you need a guy off to the side that shoots hydraulic oil on them so they can't see, like they blew a hose.
Well, you have obstacles. Exactly. It's like, oh, he's pushing him into the ditch, and the guy flips over into the ditch. Then, oh, he's coming full speed with the killdozer. And, oh no, it's the wrecking ball. Just shaved the cab clean off the chassis.
Why? Well, he died, but I thought Pee Wee Herman do the commentary. That's what it just sounded like.
Oh, that would have been amazing. Paul Rubens really, I think, was an underrated dude. I always look back to like the original Pee Wee's Playhouse, and I look at who is a part of that, and I'm like, is that Dana? Is that Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah, right. He's a damn cowboy.
Oh, he looked great.
I was trying to eat him constantly.
I mean, do we just keep going with this, or should we actually get back to topic? This is supposed to be a news program.
We got to get back to topic.
I can't do it. I'm already giggling like a schoolgirl, and now I got to say Cummins with a straight face. So we've already talked about this. Eat healthier, put better stuff, more vegetables into your body. You can now put more vegetables into your engine. See, that's writing for you. That's the script.
Before we jump into this, that's something you can edit in, put it in wherever you want, but we should have somebody.
That's easier said than done, since you're not editing any of this.
Well, we should get somebody in. I think it would be awesome if we could actually get somebody in and talk to them from Love's Pilot Flying J's marketing department. We need to talk to somebody from their angle who says, hey, look, all right, when you guys walk into our store, this is why it's laid out the way it is. Anyways, back to what we were talking about.
Fuck.
So,
what the hell was that?
All right.
Yeah. So we're going to stick to the script. The script is good, right? So the new Cummins engine, they finally announced it, uses unblended renewable diesel in its high horsepower engines. And this is really key because a lot of vehicles, a lot of these diesel trucks can run on biodiesel,
right.
Diesel from vegetables, diesel from animal waste, plant waste, that kind of thing. But it always had to be blended. And it was like a certain blend. It was like 10% bio or 20%, whatever it was.
Yeah, a lot of that was because of the inconsistencies in the blend you were trying to use. Because at the time, the way that a lot of the guys were blending the fuel, the 10, 20% bio blend was kind of a weird buffer to let the regular diesel. We did some experimenting with this on some equipment. We tried blending biodiesel and we had stainless containers and we had mixers and we were stirring it and it worked. What happened was the hassle to have it was hard to get over.
Yeah. Well, and to have it blended and get it commercially available, but this is going to work great. If you've got a facility that makes its own biodiesel, can process its own waste oil, this is going to be great for you. If you have the ability to get it, but it's an inconsistent supply. You want to be environmentally responsible. You want to do the right thing. You want to get the carbon credits or the tax credits or just take advantage of cheaper fuel. You can get that and put it in here. And then when that's not available, you can just run regular diesel. And I think that that's really the magic here. The secret sauce here is that you can put the fuel into the engine, and with its modern software, modern sensors, it'll figure out what's in there. It'll tune itself to run, and it'll make it happen. And, this is something that, a lot of people listening to this probably don't understand. Mike and I, we got to know each other tuning cars and getting race cars on the road, right? And we were doing a lot of this E85 and ethanol tuning with the Nissan GTRs, the R35s. And, we also got into some Porsches and Mercedes and things like that, but primarily these Nissans. And the big problem with tuning for E85 was the E85 you'd get at Sunoco or whatever, it wasn't always E85. It always had this inconsistent blend, so you could never really tune right for it. And it wasn't until like the Cyvex guys came out with Boyan and them to really figure out how to get those sensors working so that it would figure out what you were putting in the car and making it a true flex fuel car, that if you put in E98, it would figure it out and tune for that. If you put in, Q16 or whatever, you could just find a map for that and go. And I think that to see this come to a consumer space, even though it's still not consumer, right? It's really prosumer, but to see that come to market in more of a mass market way, I think that's really going to be the way to go. And you're starting to see it in other ways too. The new 15-liter Cummins motor that they rolled out at ACT earlier this year, that can run on diesel. It can run on natural gas. It can even run on hydrogen. And it's the same engine. Yeah, that's a slick motor.
That's a serious setup. And what makes that setup, it's unlike anything else we've had before, is the hydrogen component. Because Hercules diesel way back in the day that, sold the military the multi-fuel trucks.
Oh, the deuce and a half.
Pour it in there. Yeah, as long as you could pour it in there and it was combustible, it figured out some viscosity. It kind of overfueled the engine just to make sure it wasn't having an issue. And then, it took off. Well, the hydrogen component, you can run biofuel, whatever you want, but being able to add gas to that and supplement that from there is awesome. And I think it adds a lot more flexibility to what we were talking about before, where the hydrogen market, as it comes online, and it's not 100% for being able to fill up your hydrogen vehicle, this kind of gives you an option to go back and forth. It's like, I got diesel here, but I'll just use that. And then,
yeah. And I think we're getting to the point where we're starting to get smart. And some of these companies like Cummins, there's another one called Carno that was developed by General Electric. This is a generator that can run on multiple fuel. Now we're talking about a generator. It's not a vehicle engine. It's a generator, but you can hook it up to the natural gas line. If you don't have natural gas, it'll run on diesel. It'll run on gasoline. It'll run on kerosene. It'll run on the same multi-fuel concept, and it'll generate electricity based on whatever fuel you have to run that job site. And I think when you start to design for efficiency and you start to design around the fuel, not for the fuel, you start to see some really innovative stuff. And this Cummins thing is just the tip of the iceberg. And to their credit, they are so, or at least they seem to be, so far ahead of anyone else in this space. If anyone else has anything even remotely close to this, they haven't shown it to anyone.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Cummins has always been they've always been very aggressive with their marketing. They've never held back telling people, hey, we're working on this.
Right.
Even stuff we could probably pull 5 projects out of the Google, the interwebs of just.
That's not all we can pull out for this.
Yeah.
We almost made it to a whole segment professional like.
I know, we're getting better. But you can always go in there and you could pull stuff that they have scrapped.
Yes.
Cummins has had projects that they just didn't pan out, but they told people about them and they told people they were working on them.
Yeah. My favorite in 2014 was the Nissan Frontier that had a little 4-cylinder turbo diesel. And that was not even a half-ton truck. That was like a little compact 4-cylinder pickup truck running the Cummins diesel and getting supposedly 40 miles per gallon at a time when those little Nissan hardbody Xterras were making 19 if they were lucky. And I thought that had all the world of legs, and nobody cared but me.
Well, when I toured the Cummins facility in Indiana, that was something that they really pushed, was the fact that Cummins is not afraid to put anything that they want to create or want to engineer if they have the right partner. They'll put it in anything.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is if it's a little 4-cylinder that's a 1.5 liter and somehow they can make that work because that's the only space they got, or it's a 15-liter engine that needs to have hydrogen capability, they're going to work on it if they have the right partner to put it on with. And I think a lot of people don't understand how powerful that is in this market right now when there's such volatility between CNG, natural gas, all this stuff that people are trying to figure out. That's a hell of a partner that's going to say, listen, if you have a solid platform, you have a solid chassis, your powertrain design is right there, we'll work with you. Let's get this thing off the ground.
Yeah.
They've done it over and over again.
They have. And I think when they make that transition into this next generation, this next iteration of vehicles, whether that's electric or whatever it's going to be, I see them as one of the legacy players that's going to be able to make it, because not everyone's going to make it. Not everyone is going to make that transition. And, it's funny to see where different companies are going. A little bit off the track here, but I mean, like, what kind of track is it? We're less of a train of thought, more of a Volkswagen.
That's a heavy equipment podcast to make our own goddamn track. We just run our own one.
I just laid out an airstrip. Me and 5 other guys were para-dropped into this jungle. We laid out an airstrip Red Horse style, and they're about to drop in the rest of the equipment by a C-130. I broke him. He had to walk away from the mic. That was a good one.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Not everyone's going to make it.
Involved standing on a hillside with all this black smoke in the background, running and all that. And there's all these Cessnas and C-130s and stuff flying back and forth, dropping cargo, and the laborers are just dropped in crates right off the back of that, and then they crash open on the site.
It cracks open. 4 dudes jump out with trowels and start digging.
Exactly, just precision drop of what we got going on. The military needs to be listening to this. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I'm sure they are.
Commander on here from the military.
We've got 2 or 3. We're on 2 or 3 military watch lists already. I got to tell you.
Those at the NSA that are listening, please forward to your local commander.
Oh, they already know Yash and those guys. They're already on to me. But listen, what I was trying to say, which I think I got out at some point, was that not everybody's going to make it. And when you look at the companies that are going to make it, they're the ones that are investing smart, because they're not big enough. Even a company like Cummins is not really big enough to truly compete with a company like Ford or Toyota when it comes to generating EVs. But what they're doing is focusing on smart tech. They're going where everybody else ain't, and they're doing really smart things. And I think about this as we lead up to the next segment. John Deere, that is a company that doesn't get a lot of publicity for being really technologically innovative, but they have been building out autonomous farming equipment for years and testing it out. They showed some at CES last year. They did a really great job with that. But, as the average age of a farmer in the US gets into the upper 60s, that's not sustainable either. We don't have young people getting back into farming the way that, and again, nobody wants to work, right? But nobody really doesn't want to work in farming.
No,
and
nobody's getting up in the morning going, man, them 300 cows, I can't wait to get a hold of that.
At 4 a.m.
When we're done with that, we're going to go plant 2,000 acres today with me and 20 other people.
That's it. They don't want to do it. They look at those kind of labor intensive jobs, and they look down their nose at them. So the only way to kind of keep this all going and keep feeding people is through things like vertical farming and robotized tractors. And Deere is investing in that.
So I was at a John Deere financial seminar, and one of the guys sitting at my table, and it was like a roundtable event, and we were talking about ideas. They own one of the largest corporate farms through Missouri and Kansas, and they rolled their inventory of tractors. They had them on 1-year leases in blocks. So every quarter, a certain amount of their fleet flipped. And they did that. And I asked him, I said, well, a 1-year turn's very aggressive. Why do you do that? And he goes, because every year the technology grows by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And every year I cannot get enough workers in. And they were bringing people in from Mexico, South America on visas. And he's like, even that's getting harder and harder to do. I have to get more and more software to be more and more efficient. He said, one of the biggest things that we combat with farming like that is efficiency while they plant, efficiency while they harvest, efficiency, because not everybody can handle large fields, right? So, and farmers are probably going to laugh, listen to this, but the point being is that here's a guy sitting at my table, and he owns a huge farm, employs thousands of people. He can't get enough people, and he goes, the only person that I can partner with that it has the technology that we need to keep moving forward at this point is John Deere. And the autonomous part of that, while scary and was fought for a very long time, there were a few mega farms that embraced it and partnered with John Deere. And John Deere was going back and forth with them. And he actually introduced me to a couple of the engineers that had floated through because they knew he was there. Now, leading into construction equipment, I was at another seminar, and the Caterpillar guys were there, and we were talking about autonomous excavation because they've worked down in Australia for years with autonomous mining. And that's a huge market down there because, again, they cannot get enough workforce and operator force. So they said, well, we've been able to successfully load a truck, take it, dump it at a processing facility so if you're mining, you're going to dump it into an area that's crushing it, sorting it, and all that, and then return the truck back to the excavator and load it again. The first time they were able to make that round is, I think, was over 10 years ago or 12 years ago now, where they could successfully do that and have the truck stop where it's supposed to. Now you get more and more of those manufacturers jumping on that bandwagon for construction. And if we can do it with farming, we can do it with heavy equipment. And that was always the idea.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too, because if you look back at those units from 10 years ago, 9 or 10 years ago, they had a really intricate network of sensors and pylons that would radio and triangulate with the vehicle.
Exactly.
The new generation, like the new big dumper that Liebherr just rolled out, that's got all of that autonomous built into it. And it's using cameras and drivers. And that's I don't want to say it's a true intelligence because that's not what it is, but it is on its own in that mining environment, navigating, and you walk in front of it, it stops and all that other cool stuff. But the ones I'm really excited about is, as this progresses, the ability to use technology like LIDAR and infrared sensors to do the underground mining and coexist in there. Because if you have a human operator and they're having a bad day, or they sneeze, or they just miss a rock that wasn't there before and in the dark, they can really kind of wedge that vehicle in at a weird angle. And that's a big problem, especially in a mine. So the ability to autonomously do the same route, not be an inch to the left, not be an inch to the right, do the same route every time, and see in the dark more effectively to be able to avoid those obstructions that could come out of nowhere, I think is going to be huge. And this thing is so cool. This autonomous haul fleet that Liebherr is doing. Funny enough, in Australia, this is the largest GD dump truck I have ever seen, dude. This is laughable. It's 5 stories high. I think I might be too fat to climb into it.
Well, Liebherr's had this equipment for a very long time. The autonomous part of it, like you said, not being self-aware. That's not what it is.
Right, it's not Skynet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not RoboCop.
Yeah, right. But no, so it's not AI. It's just the idea that we've programmed in a map. It adjusts with it.
Yes.
And it plots along. That's grown leaps and bounds. And all that's going to do is make everything more efficient. It's going to make everything safer. Safety's huge. Like you said, driving through the dark, being able to see things, see people, if there's a worker or something somehow that has gotten out of place, the truck knows to stop even in the dark. The human element when you're on a 10-hour shift and you're driving in the dark and you're going down the haul road and you've done that haul road hundreds of times that night, you're going to miss something. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Where this vehicle, has the potential to be, there's always going to be something that happens, but you're going to get as close to perfect as possible.
I always love talking to you, man, because you and I, the world that I come from in electric vehicles, electrification and climate change and all this other, ultra liberal left-wing nonsense that I'm sure most of the listeners of this show would think it is. We talk about sustainability in a different way. We talk about environmental sustainability. But you talk about sustainability, and equipment people talk about sustainability in the way of, can we keep operating? Can we keep doing business and moving the dirt and moving the people and things where they need to go? And I get very excited when we talk about this kind of convergence, because as we do one, we do for the other, right? Like if you switch one of these mining trucks to electric, you've now improved the quality of life for the people. So they're not dropping out of the workforce because of respiratory issues, because of hearing loss. Hearing loss is another big one. They're not, getting burned, touching the exhaust in some weird way. They're not breathing in the fumes and getting carbon monoxide. I mean, this is a real scenario, especially in mining, where that transition to electric and that transition to autonomous is not only more sustainable for the planet and the environment and everything else, it's more sustainable for the people that are there. It's creating a better working environment where you can come home and you can leave the mine, get cleaned up, and make it to your kids' recital and actually hear what they're doing, or leave the job site and actually hear what's being said to you at dinner. And you're not talking like this and shouting into people's ears because you've been next to a idling diesel for 14 hours.
Yeah, you're not sitting at the dinner table where you're smacking the table, and they're trying to talk to you. Joe, peas.
Like, my stepdad's like that. He can't hear a thing. He like shouts at you.
Hey,
how's it going? He has no idea.
But when you touched on the sustainability part, everything about construction is sustainability. Okay, we just, one of the big things that every construction company battles, is, we just talked about it, is safety.
Yeah.
But it's safety sustainability, which is a whole other segment. We can get into a whole thing about that. I got a couple of safety professionals I'd love to have on here.
Yeah, let's get some safety guys.
One of the things you touched on, though, is equipment safety.
Touch everything, baby.
Oh, no. So one of the things that you touched on was equipment safety, and that is huge, because people end up getting in trouble. They end up getting hurt, burnt, whatever you want to call it. They get injured in odd ways when they're around construction equipment, especially when they're not versed in working on it. So the truck breaks down, it stalls. Like, we'll use that example. Guy gets out. Oh, shoot, I have to figure out what's going on. Let me see what's happening. He tries to dive in and help. But one of the biggest things, I get to review a lot of safety incidents, whether it's my company or other companies or whatever we're around. We talk about this stuff all the time. One of the first things that anybody says that gets hurt is, I didn't think. But not in the way that you're thinking. The way that they say this is, well, I didn't think that would burn me. I didn't think it would cut me. I didn't think that would reach out and grab my hand and pull me in there.
Right. But it's the Russian lathe video all over again.
Exactly. But that's my point. And the more things that we can focus our workforce on, beyond literally holding a steering wheel and running the haul truck up and down the haul road, gets us back to quality of life, quality of work, and also more sustainability.
Right. Exactly right.
Exactly.
It's too bad we have one more segment. That was perfect. We could have ended the show right there. And then, Michael, you're right. Joe, you are also right. We're right here.
We're all right. Podcast. Everyone is all right. Is that song? Everyone is all right. No. Anyways.
No, but this is a good time to splice in a vintage commercial.
Hi there. A funny thing happened on the... Excuse me.
Hey, that's embarrassing, isn't it? More important, though, a cough spasm can cause strain that many doctors consider harmful. But now there's Teak, the new cough medicine with TC44. Look, coughing spasms originate in the cough control center up here. But ordinary remedies don't reach the control center. Narcotic cough medications can, but may have unpleasant after effects. You see, Teak works directly on the cough control center to relieve coughing spasms from colds, flu, throat irritation. Works like narcotic cough remedies work, but no narcotics in it. so no unpleasant after effects. Get new Teak with TC44 to relieve coughing spasm, avoid coughing strain.
I didn't say much, but I sure got it off my chest, thanks to Teak.
Great for youngsters, too. Tastes just peachy.
Cherry.
Yes, Teak has a peachy cherry flavor.
Find some old vintage Chrysler ads. With the new 1975 Chrysler Newport, you will not only get to work on time, but stylish.
What was that one? Dan Hell's Chrysler Plymouth?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, something like that. Come on down here and spend your fucking money, because your fucking money spends the same here as it does anywhere in Encino, LA. Man, the guy just goes down to the whole list.
But the last thing I want to talk about, while we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about job site safety. Volvo has really done a tremendous job kind of educating people, certainly educating journalists, about the importance of being able to hear the people around you in job site safety and on the job site, right? And they have in Pennsylvania, they have now a training center where if you're a buyer or if you're a journalist, you can come out to this big sandbox and play in all the excavators and, compactors and road graders that are full electric out there and go out and try it out. And it's a really cool thing. And they're really pushing this idea of, look, we're standing here next to you, talking to you about this, and we're pointing things out to you like, hey, be careful with this, be careful with that. If there was a big diesel motor underneath us right now idling, you wouldn't be able to hear me.
Well, no, and if you've been to any of those construction demonstration sites, it's hysterical because you're absolutely right. Like, they got the thing running away in the background. The guy's up there on the microphone, and he's talking pretty loudly into it. In the early days before Tier 4 quieted a lot of the equipment down, he'd be in there and he's like, Joe's in the excavator. Joe here's going to cut a 45-degree angle with that motor grader. Bob over here is going to get on top of it. And they had to yell at the crowds. Well, you're absolutely right. Equipment that is electric powered, however that may be, battery, small engine driven,
or even a fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cell,
doesn't matter. Having a foreman or somebody be able to walk up to a guy, but not have to get right up on him and say, hey, what's going on? Make sure we get over here by this, before the end of the day.
Or just stop. Just the word stop.
Yes.
Stop. There's a puppy in there. Stop. A busload of orphans just pulled into the ditch underneath you. You're about to drop a crane load on them. Like, just anything. Just stop. There's always a busload of orphans with you. What is wrong with you?
Busload of orphans.
What do you got to get orphans, man?
The church bus flipped over.
Yeah, stop. It's a church bus. Yeah. But I always picture like giant machines are digging and they like rip it up. And then there's like the little nest of baby birds, like the little saplings.
That happens.
That happens. Yeah.
Well, the one thing is it's bats. Bats are a huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're heavily protected. And then the eagles, obviously, if there's an eagle's nest, or something gets uncovered as you're in there, raping the landscape of the earth. But
as you're in there scarring the planet irreparably, as one does for a paycheck at a 401k these days.
No,
there's 3 hurricanes in the Eastern Atlantic right now about to pummel the earth back into the Stone Age, and you're sitting there looking at the oil companies going, are you rich enough yet? And they're looking back at you going, you got enough diesel in your truck? And you're like, yes, I do. Thank you, sir.
So one of the excavators, one of the companies I worked at, we set up a helicopter headset for the guy. The thing was so loud.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he had the mic on there, and he would literally take his knee and he would press a switch on the side of the cab.
Oh.
And he'd be like, all right, truck's loaded, pull on out. And then he would guide the other guys back up. And it goes to your point, even inside of a cab, he could not hear what was going on. So imagine if you cut the decibel level down by just 25%.
Yeah.
Then he's on a normal radio talking.
Yeah.
Cut it down 50%. He can key the mic up. He could use a Vox system in there. He's not even trying to manhandle a microphone or any of that to guide trucks in a situation. All of this goes back to safety and just being able to.
It all goes back to safety and quality of life. How could you have had, and I know that you wasted this opportunity because you're a bad person. How could you have had a guy working for you with a helicopter headset and not nicknamed him Blue Thunder. That story should have gone. We used to have this guy that worked with us. We called him Blue Thunder. We every time you got on the radio, give him the Airwolf theme.
He's the Airwolf.
That would have been amazing. Totally missed it. Someone was telling me that they work with a guy named Keth, and I'm like, Keth, and they're like, yeah, he only has one eye.
Really?
So he has an eye missing.
Oh my god.
So his name is Keith, but they call him Keth because he's missing an eye.
Was that Ernest Borgnine? Is that who that was in that show?
Columbo.
Oh, Columbo, yeah. Oh.
Just one more thing. Why am I talking
just
like
one more thing.
One more thing.
So when you called the guy on the phone, it said that was at 6:30, but yet you were in this part of town at 6:30, and then it freeze frame with
with the finger pointing. I was talking to a guy. This is a legitimate guy. This guy's name is Larry Feldman. He's just like the number one sales trainer in North America. He had the number one Cadillac dealership in I think in the known universe, right? Because like I would say on Earth, but I also imagine it did pretty well compared to the Cadillac dealers on Venus, right? Like he's probably the best Cadillac dealer in the known
Cadillac
universe,
dealers
right?
on Mars don't know what the fuck they're doing. I can't close the Martians save her ass.
They got no idea. They only sold like 3 Escalades last quarter. Useless. Well, Jesus. Anyway, I was talking to Larry, and he was talking about doing this like Columbo close that he would be like talking to somebody and getting their information, and like he would be like negotiating the deal and be like, okay, so if I can get you this amount and I can get you this amount, this amount down, this amount for your trade, get you this payment, we got a deal. And then I guess one more thing, what if we were able to do this and like just like spin it on them, something that he knew they could do, but then get them to go like, oh yeah, that'd be really cool. And then he like had them, like it was over.
Yeah, right. Sign here.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've double closed them on this, like, you've got them to commit now, like super extra double secret probation time. And now you're going to go. Well, that's all that we had in terms of prepared remarks. So I think we're good. How about the Western Stars that you bought last time you were on the show? Didn't you just pull the trigger on 4 of those? Max. Oh, you went with the Max? Good for you, man.
No, we bought a Mac Anthem. We ordered it in 2019, got it in 2020. We ordered it late in the year, got it early the following year. We ordered a Mac Granite. It's a 4-axle tractor with 3 in the rear, 1 steer. It has a air-operated lift axle, and I just ordered another Anthem that I'm getting ready to send everything over. We just finalized the quote and all that through Mac. So those are phenomenal trucks. Volvo and Mac partnering together have created a hell of a vehicle that you can get when you order it. You get what you order. The one truck we're putting together now actually it'll look like a show truck when we're done with it.
That's nice. They just moved over the used to be waste management. I think now it's LRS, like Lake Recovery Systems or whatever they're calling it. They just got an electric Mac waste vehicle that goes through the neighborhood. And cool. I am going to die because this thing comes out of the alley like whisper quiet. And
maybe that's the opposite of what we were talking about is good.
Maybe that's the opposite. It's too safe. You're going to get killed.
You hear this whisper of the wind and then the leaves scatter across the street.
Yeah, what a lovely breeze. And then you're like, if you're lucky, you're in the back. You're caught in that thing that grabs the arm that grabs the trash cans. Just grabs you and launches you into the thing.
You can't tell what's going to happen.
Oh, I know it's happening.
Tune in next week for more Heavy Equipment Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, or wherever you find podcasts.